because I was watching the. They have constant commercials now. I think she's trying to sell us car repair insurance or something like that. When you buy the extended warranties for vehicles.
Yeah.
And Danica Patrick is on there just telling us how great it is to
have an extended warranty
on your car. I'm like going, and I leaned over to my dad. I go, "Hey, Dad, that's Danica Patrick." I go, "Guess what? You've won as many NASCAR races as Danica Patrick has." He starts
0.
Going, and he goes, and then he goes, "Yeah, but I go, and you've wrecked 40 less cars." He goes, "I wrecked a few cars." I go, "Yeah, but
not 40,
not in competition,
not 40 of them. That cost $250,000 each, at least, if not $1 million."
And I like Danica Patrick as a person.
Because I've met her 7 times.
Okay. I don't like Danica Patrick as a person. Okay, honestly. I think it's very timely to be talking about Danica Patrick, I know. Everybody's asking about her. But she's like, she's interesting politically now, but she also, when she would wreck, she would blame her crew.
Oh, yeah. Or other things, yeah.
And I hated
the
that.
driver that was near her or something like that.
Yeah, but you don't blame your crew.
You can't blame the crew ever, even if it is their fault.
Taking care of your car,
Cannot blame the crew.
Yeah, you go, hey, we need to look at the lug nuts again, maybe.
Can we revisit those?
We'll revisit that, And you don't go, "Dang it, Jimmy, you freaking messed up my wheel," and now it's all bouncing down the...
and you don't say it on camera, or you don't say it in public, kind of those things.
Yeah, and throwing your crew under the bus.
You don't, because that's the ones that are going to help you win the next race.
And keep you alive.
And how do you keep your morale up with your crew when you're like out there saying it's their fault that you crashed again?
I know.
I see your point. Okay, so where are we going with this Danica thing?
I don't know. Chicks, man, I tell you what.
Chicks, man.
A sexist would say.
Hey, sorry for cussing.
I don't know. It just like because we're working on a vehicle and just kind of talking about girls. Like, that's kind of how you do it.
Because the wife and the husband are going to be driving this one. So we have the wife input on, let's do the bumpers and grill black, right?
Yeah, but no,
that sparked a conversation about other things.
Well, they got an ideal situation where they both agree on the vehicle and things like that, and they're both into it.
That is
and
ideal.
It's like, and they're easy to work with.
Possible.
We got a Land Cruiser, an 83 Land Cruiser restoration, a mild restoration that we're doing.
Yeah, a budgeted restoration.
Yeah, but it's, a lot of body work and paint, and we're going to paint the entire car.
And it's going to look new.
Yeah, and a lot of, typical non-galvanized steel stuff here. And so we're just kind of, Greg's working on one side, Sugar's working on the front of it. I'm Sugar in this scenario. And we're just kind of...
And the couple agreed on it, and it was good that the wife had her input, because that sparked our conversation on all the other things that, as far as this vehicle and other vehicles, the Danicas, the Jesse Combs, the Nicole Johnsons,
Yeah, and we were both talking about it, because like you said, I talked to Nicole Johnson from Nicole Johnson's Detour on Instagram.
Yeah, but I talked to her years ago when she's still doing monster trucks and groovy stuff like that. So
she still does monster trucks, right?
Oh, does she? I thought she was doing the rock racing and
she does King of the Hammers
YouTube shows and stuff like that.
And she has a YouTube show. And
I kind of lost track of staying in touch with what she's doing. So
oh, really?
I'm kind of talking out my butt, because the last time I really stayed caught up on what Nicole Johnson was doing was in probably 2022, 2021. So
it's like an unrequited love. It didn't never came back to you. It was like a one-sided thing.
It was one-sided. Yeah, it's fine. I'm okay with it.
Dude, most of my relationships with girls are one-sided, dude. Some of them don't even know that I like them.
That you're in the closet there watching?
I'm not in their closet. This is totally heterosexual stuff.
As a sexist would say.
A sexist would say.
So what we were talking about is how sometimes the females are wackadoo and crazy, and they do King of the Hammers, and some were thinking they're at King of the Hammers when they're at the Westminster Mall.
It's almost like you can't stereotype a girl in the auto industry.
You can't.
Have you ever worked with a female mechanic though? Because I have
At a job where you were earning your income and making a living.
Yeah, well, I can jog. Maybe something will jog your memory. I'll tell you one story though, because it's kind of rough sometimes for women to work in an all dude industry.
Absolutely.
And I do believe that when you find a woman mechanic, most of the time she's really hot stuff as a tech. Okay.
Yeah.
Not hot stuff physically
She's
or whatever.
talented, yeah.
But talented. Okay. Hot shot tech.
Yeah.
And so, because she's overcome some other stuff
to be able to be in the industry,
societally to be there.
Yeah.
And so you gotta say, okay, she's earned her way in here, versus any dude or whatever. You gotta kind of judge their work or whatever a little.
They still earn their way in, but they have a different way of earning their way in.
Sure, but you don't know if you're talking to a lube tech or a master tech sometimes, So
well, if he's got a girlfriend, he's not a lube tech. If you're a lube tech, you ain't got no girlfriend.
I guess so. Lube tech's kind of, for the non-car people, lube tech's your entry-level guy who, you were just parking cars and washing cars, and then you got promoted to doing oil changes and tire rotations.
Yeah.
So
you just moved up. You're no longer taking out the trash and cleaning shit.
Yeah, but that's a good entryway into the world of automotive if you want to be a tech.
It's how you learn how to open hoods and find oil places and
and also then when you have any downtime, if you ever do, then you can go over to the other techs and say, hey, teach me how to do this. Hey, teach me how to do that.
Right.
And try and become a apprenticeship or something like that. I
call it learning the anatomy of the car. Because the more
you do.
Heyo. The
sexist would say.
the more different cars you get in and out of that lube, grease monkeys, whatever it is, right? Yeah. The more vehicles you get in and out of there, the more familiar you get with. These are different. This is different. This is different. I saw this on that car. You learn where stuff is.
Yeah.
Mostly washer reservoir, oil fill, and plain Jane stuff. But you learn if you're trying to move up from being a lube tech, you learn everything you can about the cars within that area, and then you move on to the next. Hopefully, you move on to being an apprentice on a line, or you go to school and then you go on to the line and stuff like that. Yeah, but females doing it, that's something else.
Yeah, it's rare, dude.
Yeah,
and I don't know, maybe it's less rare now, but even the last 4 shops I've been in, there's been no female mechanics.
No.
And especially not in the hot rod stuff, it seems like.
And how many, I don't know if you saw the female students at Lincoln Tech when I was the instructor there, 6 weeks you were there. There's not many. There's 1 in 20, 1 in 15 females out of all of it. There's a lot more now than there used to be according to their statistics and everything. But
yeah, on the other side, it would be like a dude going into veterinarian school, I think. I think there's probably like 4 veterinarian guys,
they're all females,
and to the 1,000 females in each veterinarian.
I never thought about the ratio in the vets.
Oh, okay. Well,
as a sexist would say.
Well, I just knew a guy who a while ago, and he said, "Oh, I'm a vet," and I go, "Oh, well, thank you for your service." So,
yeah, thank you.
God bless you. I appreciate it. Our men fighting overseas are honorable, and we should. He goes, "No, I mean, I veterinarian," I go, "Oh yeah, what force were you in then?" And he goes, no, I mean, I wasn't military. I'm like going, Coast Guard, what does that mean? I don't understand what not military.
What were you a vet of then?
What are you a vet of? Yeah, okay.
Korea?
Anyway, I don't know. I've seen Army guys, walking around with dogs and stuff like that, so I figured that's what he meant. But like he said, going through that vet school, there was no dudes. There was he was the only guy in his class.
From my experience, I thought all vets were males. I didn't know that there was disproportionately more males.
Yeah, but you're an honorable man, and you don't see gender anymore. Especially with the crowd you keep.
Hey-o!
A sexist would say. Anyways, Nicole,
I think that makes me virtuous, not honorable.
Okay.
I don't see sex or race anymore.
I had
We're all brown.
We had one female tech a long time ago at a Volkswagen shop that I worked at.
Okay.
And it was
that like 5-7 years ago? How long ago was that?
20 years ago.
Oh goodness!
Uh,
And you haven't seen any females in the field since then? That's what you're
not
saying?
as well, no, dude, not really. It's been really rare. It's been like 20 years since I've seen like a full line tech female.
Okay.
Unless they were specialized and they were only there for a day or two and left, like they were like a locksmith, you know, that had
Or
the
a turbo specialist or ABS
or a
specialist.
welder or something like that that came in for a day or two and then was gone.
They had one contract job and that was it.
Right.
But there's a lot of females that think they're techs.
Okay.
And they could tell you about your car and stuff like that. That's kind of comical.
Yeah.
I raised 2 daughters that can tell you about your car. Sunday had a boyfriend at one time and he had a Saturn.
And emasculated him, I imagine, quite a bit.
She did, unfortunately. She said, dude, your transmission's going out. He's like, no, it's not. It just runs different when it gets hot. And she goes, did you check the fluid? And he goes, what? She goes, did you check it and make sure it has enough fluid in it? And he goes, no. She goes, well, your transmission's going out. So whatever. And then literally 2 weeks later, that transmission went out. Because I raised my girls to be able to change oil, to be able to change a tire, to be able to put gas in correctly and know what different gasolines there are, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that they don't do it now is fine because they're in their later 20s and they're adults and they have the choice of having people do it for them, you know, usually me, Dad. Right. But the fact that I taught them to be able to know what's wrong with their car. They're not going to drive down the road with a blown tire and going, that sounds funny. It's driving weird, you know. You got to be able to know what it is you're operating. You can't just jump in a car, put the key in, and say everything's fine. And then when the dash lights come on like a Christmas tree, just say somebody else is going to deal with it. You got to know what that indication is telling you and stuff like that. Whereas some females think they know what they're doing with that, and other females, they know and they just let other people know. And I'm not trying to be sexist about that. I'm just saying we had this conversation where we were not necessarily.
You're a dad, and you have to watch out for your daughters. I mean, come on.
And since their mom wasn't around, it's up to me to teach them everything I can. So I probably went heavy on the dad side and not so good on the mom side. But they had a grandma that taught them the mom side. Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is, you know, Danica, she's not the one changing the tires. She's the one blaming the tire changer. Nicole's the one changing the tires and asking if they got the right shit in them.
And I think that's it too. Like, because there's because I don't have any respect for Danica, but of course I would be totally different if I met her, you know, at a race. I go, oh, you're the swellest, Miss Danica, you know, Patrickist or whatever your name is, and be all nice to her and everything, but stumbling.
The swellest.
Use the swellest, talking like Jar Jar Binks to her, but like I think I would be super overly nice, I'm sure. But like right here, sitting in your garage, you know, with the doors closed so no one can see us and we're podcasting, then I'll talk all tough.
Safely behind this
door. Yeah, exactly.
That she could punch through.
But like when you're the face of this team or whatever.
Yeah.
And women, when they are successful, they become the face of that product very fast because they're so rare.
And it's a great recognition to have that ability to be able to be the face of that.
So when you're a woman in that industry, in the auto industry, and the dealership, the race team, the hot rod shop wants to brag about it, then you have a lot on your shoulders.
No pressure.
And exactly. Way more pressure than a dude, I think, would in the marketing sense of things.
Because you have to succeed because there's that much more pressure because you're the female, the one of 2,000 males, one female and 2,000 males. Yeah. Succeeding.
Right.
Succeeding in a male-dominated sport, yeah.
And even with the whole like, you know, locker room talk, whatever, dorkiness, and definitely been part of that. You got that on top of everything else too, as a girl in the in auto industry.
Yeah, but she's got her own locker room. What are you saying?
She did, and I remember we had a
no. What was the locker room talk? I want to hear the gossip.
Okay, so we had we had a rule that was created because of this lady. Let's
call her Eunice Goldman.
Eunice Goldman. I don't know, man. It's like
Ermintrude Clementine.
Ermintrude Clementine. She was
She's from the South.
She was an okay mechanic. She wasn't like great, but she was an okay mechanic. And this was 20 something years ago.
Oh,
and
that
she
had to be Ermentrude then.
And she she rode her penny farthing in the shop. It was so long ago. Back when this kind of talk was acceptable. But it was so funny, and this was one of the funniest jokes I think that was in the shop, and I loved it. It just made me so happy that
Let's hear it.
we had the lineman dikes, the cutters.
Yeah.
They're a tapered, sharp tool to cut, wiring and things like that.
Some thick stuff.
Steel-jawed, sharpened tools. And they're called dikes.
Yeah, they
okay?
are.
And so...
We're not allowed to call them their side cutters.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but I'm getting to that.
Sorry.
We were calling them the Evinrudes, or whatever. What's her name?
Ermentrudes?
The Gertrudes. And so whenever you need that tool, you would call it the Gertrudes because that was her name. And everybody just reacted like, hand me the Gertrudes.
Right.
Because we were kind of joking that Gertrude was a dyke.
Like I call them Bruce's. You need to put Bruce juice in the Bruce so it shifts gears correctly.
Oh, yeah?
The Bruce box.
I don't know this one.
Tranny.
Oh.
Bruce.
Bruce is a tranny? Is a trans...
Caitlin.
Oh, okay. When I hear Bruce, I think Batman, okay? Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to tell, but...
Bruce Jenner, Caitlin.
Okay, another big shocker. Bruce Wayne is Batman, guys.
Oh, dude!
Playboy billionaire?
Are we recording right
Shocker.
now? Are we... Damn.
Yeah.
And now everybody knows.
That's the guy in the black suit that drives the Batmobile around and fights crime at night.
I thought we were going to keep that a secret.
Same guy. Yeah, anyway, Thomas Wayne's boy.
Anyway, the Gertrudes.
So we call these... Dude, I can't. It's so throwing me off, but yeah. So they were calling these tools the Gertrudes all the time, and then we all got pulled into the office by the boss.
By HR.
Yeah, by the boss in HR, and we all got sat down with like one of the lawyers or whatever.
Oh goodness!
And the whole shop is sitting there, and
the lawyer,
and Gertrude's not there. It was run by lawyers. This company.
Okay.
And they're all being told. They go, okay, you guys are no longer allowed to call the side cutters the dikes. You're not allowed to call the dikes anymore. You have to, and you can't, for the love of Pete, you can't call them the Gertrudes anymore. Okay? Because we are all going to get sued, and you're all going to get fired, and she's going to own this place. Okay? You got to be nice to her.
Okay, for the love of Pete, I will not do it. No other reason though, because I love Pete.
And from that moment on, everybody said, that Gertrude, she's a real side cutter.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, dude.
Which is way worse than calling somebody a dyke. Doesn't it sound worse?
No. It sounds so much more delicious. God, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Because it's like...
You can't trim that joke. That joke is perfect just like that. You take one word away from that joke and it's not working.
But yeah, for sure. So it was,
that's delicious.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah, Gertrude.
And it's not slanderous in any way.
She's a side cutter, if you know what I mean.
That could mean that she's a comedian. That could mean she's, my sides hurt so bad from laughing from her.
Yeah, it's enough innuendo that you could get away with it, But that was 20 years ago, okay? I would never do such a thing or participate in the joke. I didn't participate in it back then.
But you can repeat it?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to repeat it all the time. But yeah, because a sexist would have done this thing, and it was...
And I'm not.
It was a hive mind at this dealership who thought of this. I didn't even tell you what dealership this was at, so we're fine.
Goodness.
But,
thank goodness.
But I just loved how we were in trouble for a junior high thing, and then they turned it into a even better junior high joke.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
A super serious corporate thing becomes an even funnier junior high joke.
Yeah, exactly. What are you guys going to do? Put us in another meeting? Okay, we'll change the name again.
You're going to ground us? Take away our lunch bags?
Exactly. Or do you need us to repair all these cars that are lined up at the door? Come on.
Can you replace all of us that quickly?
It was, relatively tame, but holy cow. But it was so funny. It was like, no, dude, that like going, oh man, this, Rebecca over there, she's real good looking. And it's like, yeah, but she's a side cutter. Was that kind of the thing? It's like, okay, you're never going to get anywhere. She's a side cutter, dude.
Right. Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So
she's a Gertrude.
Yeah. So whatever, because so many words just have no meaning. You have to assign it to them, and like, You know, it could
Yeah,
mean.
I get that. Yeah. So
You know.
you're just assigning words for that particular scenario.
Yeah, and I mean there are some words that actually mean something, and you cannot change the meaning. Can't pervert it, but it's like, but it's pretty funny. In
Do you
the
have an example of that?
how many people named Dave do you know, and how different are they from one to another? You know, it's like if you're assigned the name Dave,
Okay.
you're not like, oh, every Dave I know is some,
Crackpot.
yeah,
Shenanigan.
right, yeah, trying to build a time machine in his basement or whatever.
Right.
You know,
Almost
and like,
every Dave I know does that.
yeah, well, yeah, and then there's other Daves that you know, it's like, nope, he's a buttoned up, you know, citizen, you know, and he's gone to 4 wars, and he's gonna be, and he's gonna
I see.
cure cancer one day or something like that, and his name is David. Sure.
Okay.
So
well, my best example of that is my father Dave and Super Dave Osborne.
yeah.
Completely different polar opposites.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So meaning that names themselves. That's why I probably have a hard time remembering names, because names don't have meaning.
Yeah.
In themselves.
This Rebecca is nothing like that Rebecca, and it's nothing like that
Right.
Rebecca.
Versus like a name that's like David's son. Okay, you were born, David is your dad, or whatever. You're David's son, and so
That's different.
that's a meaning to a name that tells you something about the person. Okay,
Right.
when there were very few Davids back then. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So, and then that lineage goes on. So, or Smith. Okay, you're a blacksmith.
You're a
you worked
blacksmith.
at that or something like that.
Yeah,
Has a
you work with your
meaning to it.
hands.
But people named Smith, they can be
John
you know,
Carpenter was the guy who fixed houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Fred
has some
Painter.
meaning to it. But now they are all, you know, acrobats and work for Cirque du Soleil and have nothing to do with blacksmithing. 100%.
Sexist would say.
No. Also, I think that the word unitard is offensive. Speaking of Cirque du Soleil,
Is that a universal? I almost said it.
it would be a person who, like, let's say they had one eye, but they worked in Cirque du Soleil, and you called them a unitard. That would be really evil. I wouldn't say that. A terrible person would say that.
A psychopath would say that.
Psychopath
As a
would say
psychopath
that?
would say.
Who, yeah, would call them a unitard, and that's not right. I'm not saying that's right.
I am so.
Greg's not even looking at me
The
right
inside
now.
of me is laughing so hard I can't laugh out loud at that because that would just
Exactly.
condone the joke.
Greg is no longer. is-
Dude, I cannot condone that joke, but I have to laugh. As a psychopath would say, you can't call me.
moving right along.
Yeah,
You guys, if you need to see a good YouTube channel, find Nicole Johnson's Detour. Because Greg and I both have a crush on her. She's amazing, but also she
incredibly intelligent, incredibly talented. She knows what she's driving and running and racing, and she can fix it. She might not be able
she
to.
drove that monster truck, the Scooby Doo monster truck for a while too.
Yeah.
And did a backflip with the monster truck too in competition.
That's such balls, man.
And then she drove King of the Hammers off-road racing.
Right.
And all this other stuff. But her channel is really interesting because she's driving these like home-built cars, one-off cars. And I tell you what, dude, like I would adore being talked to by a woman how Nicole Johnson talks to these guys with their cars.
Yeah.
Because she is so nice to them.
And actually authentic in her questions and being communicative about what they did, not about her. It's about what they did with their cars. And
but it's also like if you're building cars and if you wanted this is exactly the kind of reaction that you would hope an attractive woman would talk to you, because you're like. She's talking to these guys who built like some hot rod Supra or whatever, and she's like, "You picked out these wheels yourself?" And he's going, and the guy's like going, "Yeah." She goes, "You're amazing. What do your friends think about you? You're incredible here." Like, and like you almost while you're watching the YouTube show on your own,
you're getting a little bolstered up yourself.
Yeah,
huh?
you're going, geez, just like the tone of her voice, like it's like so nice and kind. You're like, man, no girl ever talks about my car this way, because you're spending thousands of hours alone in the dark building something that, that gets covered up by paint or whatever else in the end, and nobody sees it as
all the work you did.
Hundreds of thousands of hours of craftsmanship in there to get a flat surface. They just go, yeah, that's how it is. That's how
nobody knows how many hours you spent laying underneath it to get the suspension right and get the transmission put in. And
yeah, because you don't notice it if it's working good. You know?
Yeah.
You've done it the right way.
They just see this loud car that's all shiny and groovy and stuff, and they don't realize what it took to make it loud and groovy.
Right. And so when it's your own project car and you have a lady riding in it with you, and then there's some kind of creak in the seat frame or whatever, that she's like going, what is that awful noise? And you're like going, it is the least of my problems, is what that noise is. And how defeatist is this that you
could build me up so big and shoot me down so fast?
So fast.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with the super cool high and the super cool buildup of how do your friends feel about these? I mean, there's almost too much with that end of it, whereas when you actually get in the car and go for a ride, she can shoot you down from the ground.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough getting women to relate to your obsessions and stuff like that, and certainly don't feel like they're gonna relate or obsess the same way you are. Some
do go along. Some get the mentality, even if they don't understand the obsession. They understand the mentality of the obsession. Yeah. There's some women. Actually, there's quite a few women out there that actually support their men's obsession.
There's like 12 of them, though.
There's only 24 good women. So what do you want?
Yeah, and half of them like the cars.
And they're all married, so
yeah,
we're left to deal with the rest.
Well, anyway, that's our podcast for the week.
Different stuff. The point is, obsessions. The women's have them too, and what was it? Jane Leno said that you buy your Lancia and you get her the person that.
Oh, like if your wife's upset with how much you're spending on your car.
No, not even that. Not even because she's upset with it, but she has her obsession, and you feel her obsession just like she feels yours.
Yeah, and if she's into like antique furniture or something like that, then you better buy her that dresser that she's been wanting so that you can buy a supercharger.
Well, and just be involved with it. Be excited for her obsession, and be excited for the dresser for her.
So you're saying that women are people too now? A sexist would say.
The fucking pause. We were talking about that this weekend. The best joke of the world is you put bitch after everything.
Oh, yeah?
Will you hand me that screwdriver? Bitch.
I can't do that.
Can you pour me a cup of soda? Bitch.
Yeah.
You just put that 2-second pause on it. No matter what you say, if you just put a 2-second pause, bitch.
Guys, trust me, it totally works every time. This is a great thing to do in your marriage, okay?
With friends, family,
and then you'll find out if she can hang with the dudes. Okay, try it.
You talk that way with your mom, your dad, your pastor, your lawyer, everybody. It's a great joke. Everybody starts laughing. Everybody just starts laughing
don't do that
because
in real life.
They go, did you just call me a bitch? And you go, yeah. And then you smile and laugh, and they're like, oh, I get it. And then they say, did you just call me a bitch? And then you say, yeah, bitch. See, you laugh.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I can take it because I'm cool. But I don't believe this is a wise thing to say to people.
It's fucking hilarious.
This is their most dangerous episode ever.
It's hilarious.
We're gonna get fired from our own job. I pay for this. I'm not gonna. If you pay for this, I'm not gonna do this.
Don't come back tomorrow.
HR is gonna have a field.
We're gonna
day
get
with
an
us.
email, aren't we?
I'm gonna have to go to get your re-education camp again.
Again.
Podcasting re-education camp.
I was salutatorian last time I went there.
Oh yeah? Well, good.
Yeah. I don't know if I have to go back though.
It's always kind of strange though. Like not strange, but I wonder. Like with.
I want to know your worst Ermintrude Clementine story.
I don't know, dude.
Who was the one female that actually ground your gears? You know what really grinds my gears?
A girl that really upset me, like in the...
Ermintrude Clementine did.
Dude, no, she was fantastic. What are you talking about? Like the... Oh, Gertrude thing that we had?
Gertrude was just a coworker that you made fun of. But there's been females that really ground my gears.
And she didn't deserve us to make fun of her. She was a fine mechanic and everything else. She was she didn't like dirty cars, and that was kind of tough. It's like going, okay, all these cars are dirty because they're steaming piles that we have to fix and then clean up. That's our job.
Right.
So it was kind of weird.
You can't work on new cars your whole life.
Yes, exactly. And it was a dealership situation where,
And if it's a new car, you shouldn't be working on it.
Yeah, so it was kind of a tough thing. That was I did not appreciate that part, because it's like, okay, so what? Like everybody else except you goes to work on a dirty car, but I could be anybody. She had 3 guys on her team because they had different teams in the dealership, and she had 3 guys on her team, and they were all the same thing, where they were. This car's got trash all over it and stuff. We can't touch this and stuff. I'm like going, come on, guys, whatever. That was
okay. Was there a girl that you broke up with because of her car? Was there a girl that you didn't want to date because she said something about your car and it was like, nothing. We could not be together.
I don't like 2006 Chevy Impalas anymore.
Understood? Any more or any less? Because you had an experience with one.
I had very little opinion about them. But like I noticed when I got into my friend John's car, that was like an 0607 Impala, the front drive one.
Yeah.
It just like my blood started to boil because it reminded me of this lady, and I was just like, "Oh, this is hideous. I hate this car.
A car reminded you of a lady?
Roll down the window, you guys. It's raining." I go, "I don't care. Get my head out of this thing. I need to get out of this.
I can't breathe. I'm claustrophobic."
Yeah, exactly. The walls are closing in.
They're calling me.
They're closing in. I'm getting the dashboard's coming at me. He says, "No, stop touching the electric seat adjustment." You go, "Oh, okay, got it," and then calm down. But the
roll the window up. It's raining.
It's choking me. No, your head's caught in the window. But no, it just like my ex had this uninspiring, soft Chevy Impala that looked like a cop car at the time, and a lot of that style of cop car in our neighborhood. And I just hated it. It was so rental car spec, and it was so soft, and and the tires were terrible. They were Chinese tires or whatever, and it just would squeal at 15 miles an hour.
Did you get to drive this at any time?
Oh man, I had to drive from Michigan back to Colorado.
Oh,
and I
did you?
I got pulled over like 3 times on the way back, and she was upset with me in the passenger seat the whole time because.
What happened?
Well, she was.
I mean, you're being very vague there.
Mostly Satan, this woman. Bipolar and crazy and whatever else, okay? So,
that's a
so
pretty
of
picture.
course I married her.
Why wouldn't you?
Why
wouldn't you?
A marriage that lasted 7 months, after we said actually the pastor skipped that part of
Excuse me? He skipped part of the vows?
He was like, you skipped a lot of the vows.
Like, to love and honor, to cherish till death do you part?
Say it.
I knew. He saw that this was not going to last. These fuckers are going to ask for an annulment. I know it.
Because he saw the Impala parked out front. He goes, hey, I don't know, man.
Did her moods change 3 times in church?
Oh, yeah, all the time, dude. It was
no, in church, in front of the pastor. That's why he left all that stuff out. Because he's like, this guy needs an out.
Dude, I was fine. I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and saw the future ahead of me. And I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is great!"
Even with an Impala.
And then it changed like the second night in. It was like, "Oh my gosh!" Razors came out, and holy cow! Anyways,
that's unfortunate.
So those kind of associations, those bad things. Probably nothing to do with that Impala itself. It was a safe car. It was big enough, had a lot of shoulder room. It was relatively reliable. But I hate those things.
I hate those things too.
I'm a Chevy fan. I love Chevrolets, American cars. But that one right there, I will not touch ever.
I hate them myself.
I won't repair them, dude.
I have a story too that I won't tell.
Well, you won't tell me?
I will not.
Oh, how exciting.
I had to drive a Lumina.
Yeah,
to Las Vegas to
don't worry,
New
no
Mexico.
one's listening to this part. Lumina. Okay.
2003. Front wheel drive.
So, yeah, same transmission
thing.
Probably too.
Actually, no, it was a Monte Carlo.
Okay.
Which is almost the same thing as the Lumina.
Sure.
It was a Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
From here to Las Vegas, New Mexico, and back, and I just wanted to drive into the ditch the whole time.
Female involved in that one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. She was the side cutter.
Yeah, and so It just
Literally.
nothing against side cutters, but it's just like
Just one of the side cutters I dated, and she decided to move state, so I took her out of state.
some of my best friends are side cutters, and I love them to death.
Agreed.
But it's
Don't
like
date them though.
it's just one of those things. Yeah, it's difficult that way. Yeah, tough to marry one. That's tough. Yeah, I and so that those associations with certain cars, just because it could be anything,
Right.
you could hate the color purple, because some purple, somebody,
I went on a tangent earlier about color purple. I apologize
somebody in
again.
a purple t-shirt hit you hard, or you don't like Barney or something, some kind of trauma that came
Barney's
up.
purple's different than purple.
Such a basic thing to be afraid of. What's your problem with purple?
I don't know, sir. I'm so sorry again for that tangent. I'm so sorry.
It's funny. Greg was grumpy. Anyway,
We got on a purple tangent
Poor
for
man.
whatever reason.
I don't know, but who's like the most admirable woman and in all of cardom? I mean, because
You could have, what was her name? The Connie Coletta, the drag racer, right?
oh yeah,
She was top dog for a long time, and she's still involved with drag racing.
yeah.
Didn't she marry Don Garlitz?
Oh, did she? Okay, I don't
I
know
thought
this
they
one.
dated or something. I don't
Okay.
know. There's also Jessie Combs, fastest woman alive.
Oh yeah, well yes, and also Shirley Modowney.
Yes.
Cha-Cha, Shirley
Yeah.
Modowney.
That
She's-
might have been who married Garlitz.
maybe she's hilarious. She's
She's a
fun.
great
She's still
person.
around.
Yeah.
and she was like the first woman to win like a top
Connie
fuel.
Coletta was not a female. I am out of my mind. I
Okay.
just totally talked out of my ass saying
You're
Connie
thinking
Coletta.
you're thinking of Shirley Modowney.
Yeah,
Modowney.
that's what I was thinking. Thank
Yeah.
you for correcting me.
Well, that just triggered that thought in me because she's funny. She's great, and first lady of drag racing.
Yeah, she has a cool Instagram page, and she's still involved with drag racing. That's who I was thinking of.
yeah,
not
top fuel drag racing champion in
Connie Coletta.
77, 1980, and 82.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, she's
badass.
Badass. Yeah.
Any person who can take the physical rigors of driving that car down the quarter mile
Yeah.
is a badass person. Male, female, whatever.
Yeah, and like there's
For her to have the knowledge, the experience to be able to drive that mother trucker down that track like that, that's amazingly awesome.
right, and that Leah Pruitt, she's a top fuel drag racer too. She's temporarily retired, I believe, right now, but she's more modern day, won top fuel championships, also got her Wally trophies and everything.
Interesting.
And lately, and
No, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that
last
one.
few years, really, I mean, like, and now she's married now to Tony Stewart, the race car NASCAR guy, Mr. Smoke,
I think that's a bad choice.
no,
I
it's
really
great.
don't care for Tony Stewart.
Oh, he's great, and she's great, and they're gonna make the fastest babies in the world.
Tony Stewart, the guy that killed the guy on the racetrack?
Yeah,
Because he just didn't get off the track. And
that wasn't his own claim to fame, though. But yeah, Tony Stewart's a good guy. Yes. Okay. Questionable. Okay.
Him and Earnhardt can race together all they want.
We're gonna have trouble, man. Tony Stewart and Earnhardt are not welcome in Greg's place.
Not
huh?
at all, sir. Thank
Jiminy
you.
Christmas. Okay. All right.
I wish
fine.
I wish them all the happiness, though. They're just not welcome here. Have a nice day.
Okay, moving right along. Gosh, I have nothing against Tony Stewart. I thought he was pretty awesome. I think he's still.
What
pretty
about
cool.
John Force's daughter?
Yeah,
She kicks
what's her
ass
name?
drag racing. Brittany,
Brittany Force.
I believe.
Yeah.
I'm questioning when I say it. My forehead's wrinkled, and I'm like, Brittany?
And then you could do it's Brittany joke.
There's. That is fucking hilarious, dude.
Imagine showing up in your funny car
It's Brittany. Bitch.
and then down the strip, and in 3 seconds. Yeah. Yeah, she's a nice lady too.
Okay, and then what's his name? Ken Block's daughter is starting to.
Leah Block.
Yeah, she's taking on the racing.
Yeah, and it's not like nepotism stuff. I mean, granted, that probably get her sponsorships, but she's fast as heck.
She's very talented.
And I know there's a lot of attention on her to develop her skill and get her up to speed. But
keep Dad's legacy going.
holy cow, she's up to speed already.
Right. Well, if you look at Max Gordon, Robbie Gordon's son,
did all this stuff. Yeah,
that kid was racing the SSTs at 13.
Okay,
and finishing top 5s, top 8, and then now he's 15, I think, and he's podium.
Oh yeah, okay.
He's on the podium all the time. He does the Baja 1000. He does every race that his dad does.
Yeah.
So I think if the child is raised in that environment and that's what you know, I mean, Tiger Woods was 2 when his dad started making him do golf swings and stuff like that. If that's what you're raised to do, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So the fact that those individuals, whether they're male or female, get to grow up in that environment and they're just absolutely, it's nature and nurture at that point.
Yeah, and I think that now that Ken Block is gone, I guess it'll be interesting to see how Leah Block stays with it. I mean, she's absolutely been staying with it, the last couple of years and stuff.
Yeah.
But and progressing in it, and she's raced at Pikes Peak last year, and in an exhibition class, I think, right? But
I think it was, yeah.
And her mom races like crazy.
Because she was she had to race the youth class, I believe, because she wasn't 18.
Okay, that's funny.
So,
gosh, yeah.
But at that point, God, dude, I can't imagine the emotions and the feelings that they get to enjoy because they're doing that Pikes Peak thing,
Yeah.
They're like, is my dad in the seat next to me racing up the hill with me? They're listening to their coach, their dad coach them in their head. And that's just awesomeness.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think it's just putting myself in the shoes of a young lady. First off, these shoes are uncomfortable.
These don't fit well.
I can barely walk in these heels. And second off, it's interesting, but like you kind of go with marketing and stuff like that today. Mm-hmm. You, as a young female, you probably would be tempted to just jump into the marketing without getting the skill, because I've seen that happen before. Because
you can blow up and get recognition without actually having the skill.
Correct, and then you're behind.
Right.
All of a sudden, because they say now prove it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's really tough because
or when the curtains come back and the show starts, you have to prove it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so when they're top spec, top level people, then they can. Then they're really, really good. These female drivers and mechanics and hot rodders.
Yeah.
And so then there's no like halfway with a female one at the top levels of these motorsports and stuff. And I think that there's a gap as far as that, because we're a bunch of dudes. You can be kind of okay and get by on a lot of things too.
Yeah,
and just keep building your.
As far as the female's mentality, there's no
because
half-assing it. It's all or nothing.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden you have the attention of Oprah and stuff like that. If you're at the top of the thing, you better live up to it. Or you get out of it
because other female celebrities are noticing and they're
and they're rah behind you right away now that you're successful.
I see.
And if you're not successful, then you sell extended car warranties.
Like Danica Patrick. You should see the evil eye he has when he says that. I wish we had cameras, dude.
I just don't like any racer who blames a team.
We need Matt to set us up with a couple cameras so we can sit, podcast style.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I hate being on YouTube, but let's do it anyway. I think that also, like, I've noticed that too with...
Moving on.
I was at a metal shaping course a long time ago too, and they... it was cheap to get in there, and there were some celebrities and everything like that in the metal shaping thing. This was before I knew you, even.
Okay.
And so
here in Colorado?
No, I went out to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, and we had a class out there. It was really fun, but there was a female in the class, and they were kind of filming a commercial about the thing because they were thinking about doing this over and over again. They were trying to sell us tools too while we were there.
So they're filming a commercial about the class to promote the class?
Yeah, okay. And promoting the industry itself. And she was on camera the entire time. When the commercial came out, there was like 2 of us who were there, even though, we filmed some segment because that was part of the thing. Okay, you go there and like They cut out my joke. They cut out everything. And she was in like all the scenes there. And she was mid-pack. She wasn't terrible, but she was not amazing. And like we followed each other on Instagram, but then afterwards she just stopped doing it after a year. I didn't see her doing it anymore or whatever. And I'm like going, okay, so they get excited about you if you're a female in any of these situations.
Yes,
now.
they do.
It's totally opposite of what you would think.
Yeah.
As far as like, will you be accepted? You will be.
Yeah.
You're rarefied air, so they want you there so badly. Especially if you're a company. It's like, oh man, I want this girl who look good in a welding helmet and smiling at while holding up our welder or whatever,
and can articulate what it is they're holding.
Exactly.
That's such a rarity. I mean, there's not that many guys that can do it as well as females.
Right.
Sorry, I got so tongue-tied there. That was
it's
a cool
okay.
motorcycle that just went by.
Yeah, and I bet you a professional female wouldn't do that. I wouldn't get tongue-tied on that during that part. But here we are. And eventually...
Oh, so now you're saying women
Sugar
are
and
better.
Greg will be replaced by women doing this podcast because the... but...
Will it be Sugar and Spice then?
This would be an everything nice podcast.
Dude, I got you on that
Today
one.
we just talk about everything nice. But yeah, it was like I didn't resent her, but it was just kind of okay. I resented her, and I was like going, gosh, I was trying so hard to be in this industry and learn anything, and not that I wanted to be famous in it or be the face of this stuff, but it's like, but man, I really needed to know how to do this, and it cost me so much money that I didn't have to go do it, and it just like was.
She could have taken what they gave her and gone so much further, whereas what you tried to get, they gave to her, and then she squandered it.
Yes, probably because she was a female, it exaggerated everything.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. It just amplifies it all in this industry.
I totally understand that logic, because whether it's male or female, if that happens, that's just a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah. And
so the fact that there's on top ofness, that bitter pill to swallow, makes that swallow that much harder.
And I think if I were hiring it and I was at a hot rod shop and I saw...
that's what she said.
If I saw a female's resume or whatever on the there, I am definitely going to ask her to interview first, But if there was like 4 applicants or whatever, and one of them's a female, I'll ask her absolutely first, because because that's more interesting. It would be better for the shop, and it's. The potential for her to be a badass is really huge.
And when I know when you have a badass female in the shop, it does something for the morale. It does something for the dynamic of the shop.
It amplifies everything.
It makes everything that much more gooder, if you will.
Yeah.
Makes it more funner.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when things go bad, it makes things worser.
And it amplifies every way.
It makes things seem worser. Now that we've been talking about it a minute, I remember when I worked at High Altitude Trailer, we interviewed 2 females to do the fabrication part of it, and the one female said that she was welding certified and she knew how to weld and everything like that.
Yeah,
she absolutely lied about the certification, but she, air quotes, knew how to weld. She had used a welder a few times and stuff like that, and welded like 3-inch long welds a few times, so she knew how to weld in her mind.
Okay.
This Ermintrude Clementine lady thought that she could just come in and follow the
Ermintrude Clementine, meaning just a generic name for any girl in the industry
that could not do it, and said that she could.
Dang it, Ermintrude.
Any Johnny-come-lately kind of guy.
Well,
those guys that show up and they have 6 tools and they say they can do everything, and then they work for half a day and leave at lunch and don't come back because they can't do it.
Yeah, that's been around a lot. Yeah,
fuck those guys. Anyway, I'm the one that's interviewing her,
not apologizing for cursing
and asking her to do this weld. And I said, I need you to do a 3-inch stitch weld here, but tack 4 corners, do a 3-inch stitch here, and then do this 6-inch continuous. It can't stop. you can't let the weld stop. You have to weld that all the way because the heat transfer weakens and makes it blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she's looking at me like, what are you saying?
Right.
So you want me to weld this? And she kind of repeats it back half-assed. And then you want me to weld that whole thing at once? And I say, yeah, and it better look consistent. You know, I'm waving my finger back and forth like you would move your wand to your torch.
Yeah.
And get a good stack of dimes, whatever you want to say, right?
Sure.
And she goes to weld, and it just looks like a farmer's weld out in the field with a flux welder, and it's windy.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get the best weld he can before the wind takes his shit away. You know,
Sure.
That's the kind of weld she's putting down.
Yeah.
Saying that she's a certified welder. And then the next girl that came in was actually a talented welder. Yeah. And she threw down some wonderful welds.
Sure.
But when it came to the auto body side of it, because you had to do both, weld the frames together and then go over to the auto body department, sand down the shells, do the Bondo, get them ready for paint. And if you could, we would have them spray the shell. And when it got to the auto body part of it, she just didn't have the, what is it?
Testicles.
No, good God, dude.
What you were motioning? Sorry,
sanding. She didn't have the mechanical skills, I guess, to run a sander. To run
sexist would say, but not me.
To run the sanders, to run the sanding blocks, to mix the Bondo. She just couldn't do that part of it.
Okay.
I think her mentality just concentrated on learning how to weld and do that.
Yeah.
And she was really good at it.
Okay.
But we couldn't use her because she couldn't do all the different aspects of the job.
Yeah, because it's tough because you don't have that much welding jobs, you know.
Well, yeah, because we would just put frames together for 2 days and then move on to the auto body.
Right.
And then once everything was painted, they went on to the frames and then we started assembly.
Yeah.
So there was only 6 employees.
Yeah, you can't.
So we needed, somebody who could do everything.
And everybody else, the other 5 could weld just fine too. So it's like it's kind of tough to spread that work.
No, Shelton was the only woodworker, and he did almost all the woodworking. He cut all the cabinet faces. He did all the cuts because he was a master carpenter.
Okay. And
he could do all that stuff so much faster.
Sure.
And have it right the first time.
Sure.
So, and we could say, do this complicated cut. Shelton, sure, no problem. 10 minutes later, he's back with that fucking piece, and you're like, God damn, it would have taken me 10 minutes just to figure out how to lay it out.
Yeah.
He's got it cut and ready for you.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, is there a humility that is respectable, and maybe I'm not just picking on women, but also dudes. If you have this kind of, if you don't have humility going into a shop and asking for a job, that are you actually this good? Can I be profitable for this company?
And if you're not that good, can I get you to be that good in a reasonable amount of time?
And also expect the right paycheck for that, maybe. Exactly. So that we can be profitable for this.
Yes.
Because, if you're saying that you're hot stuff and you go into a shop and you don't have that skill, then say, can I buy that skill from you guys by having, a couple bucks less an hour or something like that until I get there? And
will you talk with me while I'm learning this skill?
Right. And I've never come across...
Here comes that bike.
I haven't come across a lot of females who are willing to learn like that in those situations. And that's just me, maybe.
The only ones that I came across like that actually came to the school to learn.
Okay.
The ones that took my class were
and they're probably the only ones that will be successful.
Yeah, the one gal,
they have that attitude.
The one gal's Loretta. She's I can't remember what, Nebraska or something like that, but she did a whole interior on a Camaro by herself. She redid the seats and everything. She's not just one trick pony. She knows how to paint the car. She knows how to do all the metal work to the car. She knows how to do the motor. She gets bored with, I believe she said she gets bored with doing the same thing. So she wants to learn how to do all of it.
Sure.
And so she did some really cool custom upholstery. I think it was 67, 68 Camaro. And it turned out really nice. And now she's doing something else, something really cool.
Yeah. And what you're saying is that, women should just be working on the sewing machines.
As a sexist would say.
A sexist would say. A sexist would say.
No.
Is that what you're saying, Greg?
No,
I think that's what your
she
point
kept
is,
asking
right?
questions through the whole course. She kept asking,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I saw this before. Is this how I do this? I wanted to learn how to do it this way. Can you show me how to do it that
And
way?
that's helpful. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because
sure.
male or female, if they're asking those questions, they're teachable, they're coachable, and they're going to learn whatever it is you're throwing down for them.
Yeah, and I don't know, would you give that any different advice to a guy in the same situation?
No, I don't care what you are.
Yeah, so I guess that means you've passed the sexist rule test. You're not sexist. Congratulations, Greg.
I thought we established that earlier. I don't see race or sex.
Okay, perfect. Well, now you're consistent, even at the end of the podcast. I can't believe it. Yeah, I think that one girl that I would like get nervous because she was just a badass in almost everything was Jessie Combs, like you said. And I never met her, but worked with a guy who did.
I would have loved to have
went to school with her, and up
I had
at
a
Wyotech.
TV crush on that woman. She was just awesome in so many.
TV crush, yeah.
Because she was, she was good looking, and she was smart, and she did crazy wackadoo fun things. Put that Volkswagen motor that ran on Crisco oil in the Samurai, then made a rock crawler out of it.
Yeah.
How do you not fall in love with a woman like that?
She worked on like every one of my favorite shows. You know, she was on MythBusters, which I loved so much.
Didn't she do Girls Garage a couple episodes?
Yes.
And
yes.
I mean, she did so much.
And
she promoted women's welding.
That 4x4 show too. What was it called? It was just like off-road or something like that. It's real basic. Extreme 4x4. What was the name of that show?
It was in Power Block or something.
Yeah.
It was in the Power Block show. I can't remember.
I have to ask
Extreme
Matt Blake
4x4.
about that because
Ian still does it.
Yeah.
He
She
still
was
does
on that
the
show
show
with him too.
Yeah.
And then she did King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like she just competed, to run for, sponsored by Optima batteries and just kind of like giggling. No, she was winning.
Yeah.
She won King of the Hammers several times.
And she put on all those welding courses.
Yes.
And she taught so many people how to weld.
Yeah.
And she was just awesome at everything she did. And what was her significant? Terry Madden?
Yeah.
That's another talented guy. I think she was a lot more talented than him. Sorry, Terry.
But yeah, osmosis. She made him better too.
He's gone on to do some pretty cool things since she's passed. But
yeah, she amplified him. Women amplify.
Behind every good man is a better woman.
And I believe it's one of those things too. Like I think if I can get serious, then I think that, and I'll try so hard. Try so hard to get serious, man.
He says, if I can get serious, I start giggling.
Yeah. But I think this is it. And here's where I get beat up. Thank God no women ever listen to this show, I'm sure. But
sorry for cussing.
But in the same way that women amplify things, you can kind of tell if a husband's treating his wife well, because she's at peace in some way. She looks more feminine. I know. People are vomiting at the screen or something like that.
No, I think that's...
But there's some more relaxed, and then there's more security so that she can be more of a woman and amplified that way.
And, in return, he's more of a man because of that, too.
For sure, because he doesn't have to cover every other side of his life because she can fill up all those voids.
Absolutely.
And he can fill up all those voids for her.
Absolutely. And that's just a good partnership. That's a good relationship. That's a good symbiosis.
And maybe that's it too, because it's like I never when there's a girl around who's in the car stuff and into cars, I'm suspicious. I go, are you really into cars, or are you just kind of being cutesy about this?
Or are you just trying to get a good guy?
Yeah. Are you trying to get a dude or something like that? What's going on here? You're trying to get
your car fixed?
You're trying to get me to pay your student loans. What are you doing?
Whoa, dude, that escalated.
What?
Going from fixing your car to paying loans? What the fuck?
Yeah, it can, dude. It can.
That's the power of the...
But if you get these... Greg's mic cut off. That's weird. But if you get... man, I think that it's kind of one of those things too where you just kind of can tell the health of a girl, and you can see what her husband, how her husband treats her. There's a lot of wonderful, happy women that I know and have And I go, I already know who your husband is, or because how well he treats you or whatever else, and she's
I couldn't
less
agree more. You
stressed.
see that happiness in couples, yes.
Yeah.
And whether it's the wife making the man happy in that relationship, or it's the man making the wife happy.
Yeah, or you're both pursuing each other. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean that's just a glorious thing to see in couples.
Yeah, and I've never really. Okay, here's where I was going before this.
Yeah.
Was that never really been would pursue a girl for her automotive knowledge. I don't need a welder in my life as a partner.
But it would be nice.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's not.
You don't need it.
But I don't need her to
That's
do
not the criteria.
to do my job.
Okay.
And it's nice to have someone who's opposite and complementary. Okay.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that we would compete, but we don't need to. Okay. For the same kind of things. And maybe not even competing is not the right word, but that we don't need to double up on one aspect, okay? Because, if there's a spider in the house and we're both freaking out over it, what good is that, okay?
That's
one
no
of
good.
us
She has to go kill it.
Yeah, this lady has to be willing to go kill this spider for me. That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not. Ew, gross. No.
Got me all choked up on that one. She has to kill the spider.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also I think that
we both can't run in and out of the house at the same time.
Yeah, and here's where people get mad at me too, because I in the church too, I believe that the Bible doesn't have.
She has to kill them at church, at home, everywhere.
Well, a healthy church doesn't necessarily have a lot of
spiders.
Women head pastors.
Oh, sorry.
And here's the one that everybody's going to get mad at me on, and I think it's because men's job is to take all the responsibility of their flock or whoever they're in charge of.
Alpha. So to be the alpha, yeah. And
also you're supposed to sacrifice as a man as your role there. It's a big deal.
It is. Yeah.
And it's a biblical patterns and things like that too, where you have to watch over your flock. You have to lay down your whole life for them, and do that. It doesn't say the same thing for women. They don't have to lay down their life for the sake of their family.
Yeah, biblical, tribal, everything like that. Society as a norm is the man is the one that is responsible for, takes care of, and sacrifices for.
And I've noticed that
the women sacrifice too in their ways. That it can't be said that they don't sacrifice.
No, but here's what I'm saying.
Okay,
let me complete the thought at least.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. That when a church has female leadership in the church part,
as far as the pastor,
then I don't believe they have any healthy men in there. And everybody will go, "Oh, you're stupid. You're wrong about this." But I still believe it's true that
it's a different alpha that's running the herd and stuff like that. It changes the dynamic of it
because the women have to step up because the men aren't doing their job, and they have to take care of the church for the men and have to mother everybody there, and maybe it's a good thing for the women who lead
so they're
these
doing
churches,
the single parent
and they
role
love
thing.
this. But even if exactly,
their mother and father,
exactly, and so if it's that single motherhood thing or whatever, it's no fault of that woman, and maybe it's even great for that woman. And I know that's all dismissed now after what I just said, but but I absolutely still believe it's true, and I can say both things and say how great women are, and also say that men aren't doing their job in this. I know that's too many nuances for the modern day,
but I think that's an accurate statement in the fact that the men didn't step up and do the job, and the strong women always will step up.
Yeah,
where men are failing.
And women have amazing roles at our church and the church I go to also. And there's so many ministries that are run by women that are so successful and so great and can't be done any other ways, but except for the women who are running them.
Right.
And
because they have their own way of making it successful.
Yeah, in amazing, crazy, creative ways that I'm going, I would never think of this. This is insane.
And they're not selling warranties.
And they don't sell us used car warranties, is what I'm trying to get at.
They're successful.
But no, it's just one of those things where in dating a girl, if I only could ask her one question, I go, how's the relationship with your dad?
That's the best question in the world.
Because it's like, I go,
Yeah.
because if you hate your dad, you're going to hate me, and it's going to be crazy.
And it's not because I'm fathering you.
No, exactly. But it's just because it's like, you hate masculinity altogether, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say a line in the sand on some things, and is it gonna be a fight? Are we gonna,
Are we going to compromise and work it out?
Yeah, and I will sacrifice for you money, time, limbs and kidneys, whatever I need to get this going to make sure that you succeed in this relationship or whatever else. With me.
Yeah.
But, and if you have to take charge of my household and my everything, then I've failed you as a partner.
Yeah.
And that's impossible, and I don't want to be in that situation. I don't think that's how I don't think that's how we're built as men. And
no.
But also, I think that you can't discount your masculinity in these automotive situations, because a dealership, a hot rod shop, is you're hitting your head against each other. You're fighting. There's a lot of horrible things, and
it is
constantly questioning the size of your masculinity. Genitalia. That's the word. And one of the best days I've ever had is always when you come away with some awesome and creative quip on questioning your best friend's size of his junk, in front of everybody else.
Right.
And then he's done the same to you or whatever, and saying, you are no man, you have no testicles,
You're not third leg Greg.
You must, exactly. You must ride a bicycle with no pain at all, going cross country.
A bicycle with no seat.
With no seat, exactly. So you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
And enjoy it.
You'll enjoy it. And those things are hilarious and great. And I think they just build each other up, like sharpening, a rock. You can't sharpen a knife up against a sponge.
You can't. You got to have some good concrete for that.
You got to have a hard rock surface to fight against, to sharpen each other. Okay?
Yeah. You can't be thin-skinned in any automotive industry.
No, and I think that
you cannot be thin-skinned, because everybody will poke at that thin skin and make you bleed.
Because it's hard. It gets.
You got to be able to take a joke and give a joke.
And these
but
vehicles,
as soon as you give a joke, you got to be able to take one that's worse.
Yeah.
Because if you give one, that means you're opening up to take one.
Right.
So you can't call somebody a cotton-headed ninny muggin without them.
Dude, come on, man.
Without them, see, you just got riled up, and I didn't even call you.
You're right. I did.
Sorry for cursing.
No, that's all right. That's me.
You got to be able to take it back when he says, "How do you make your sore shoulder go away?"
What?
Never mind.
Okay, I don't have to worry about this joke.
We can't say that one on this podcast.
Okay, good. Okay,
that's a different podcast.
If
you're selling,
you're employed in a hot rod shop, then you'll know this joke. Okay.
If you gotta have thick skin. Danica didn't have thick skin. She blamed her crew.
Threw her helmet at other drivers and it was just.
It's a big responsibility to race that car and be responsible for that car. Be responsible for what happens on that track.
Yeah.
And own up for what happened out there, whether it was your fault or not.
Yeah. And there were other female drivers, who didn't get the position that they deserved because Danica was taking up their space, and while she was being mean to everybody on the team. And what are they going to do? Because we're getting sponsored by GoDaddy, and it's going to be a big deal,
It's going to be a big deal.
All these other sponsors are coming into...
Yeah, GoDaddy's the thing right now. So they're on all the commercials, so we got to have the... Yeah. You would think they would have a more dominant driver as their face.
That's the thing. That's the thing with if you're a female in the hot rod or car industry, then you got a chance of being more there's more on your shoulders. You got to stand up for all of womanhood.
Yeah.
And so how do you represent them? It's not like you can go around killing guys like Tony Stewart does, and I still respect him. Huh?
That is the best example ever. Yes.
Okay.
I still respect that murderer.
Okay. All right. Maybe that's a good spot to end on.
That's what she said.
Our most dangerous episode ever. Oh, my gosh. Please don't listen to this.
There was not much mechanical about that.
Yeah, don't listen to this. Don't spread this around. Don't tell your friends about this episode.
Not share this.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.